Parity is something that we as NBA fans seem to have been talking about relentlessly pretty much ever since Kevin Durant joined the Golden State Warriors. While I'm sure this was a topic of conversation before, I really don't feel like the word parity was used to nearly the extent that it is ever since that happened. It seems like it got a lot more use ever since that event. But I am here today to tell you that parity in the NBA feels as though it is the best that it has been maybe in my entire time as a fan, and certainly very high for recent NBA history. At least so long as Kyrie Irving continues to not play basketball. But assuming that that does stick up, parity is as good as it's ever been, and in today's video I want to talk about how the NBA is just completely wide open. So let's get into it. Before I continue on with this video, about half of the people who watch these videos are not subscribed, so if you've fallen to the 50%, then please subscribe. Also drop a like on this video. I am trying to hit 200k subscribers on this. No, that's not the line. Also drop a like on this video, only takes 1 second and makes a massive difference. I am trying to hit 200k subscribers on this channel by the end of the year, so seriously, if you could subscribe if you enjoy the video, that's appreciated, but on with it. The best way to look at parity and how things really feel wide open is by looking at the teams that were expected to be towards the top of the league and really the contenders. And then contrast that expectation versus how they're actually performing. The Lakers have sucked. Now I am still of the opinion that people are way overreacting and ultimately the Lakers are going to be fine. It's just gonna take a while, but I cannot lie and act as though I expected them to look this bad. I understand LeBron's been out and it's been an adjustment period with Russell Westbrook, but it's been some ugly shit. And even if they do figure it out as I still expect them to, I don't think their version of figuring it out is just them being unbeatable. I don't think most people have that impression. As good as I think this team is capable of being, I also would absolutely not be shocked whatsoever if they did not end up being the team to make the finals out west or even make the Western Conference Finals. Looking out east, as I mentioned in the intro, so long as Kyrie Irving continues to not play basketball, then the Brooklyn Nets are not the powerhouse monster that we originally anticipated them being. That on top of Harden just being on and off depending on the night, the Nets are just not that scary by comparison to what most of us anticipated them being, including myself. As a result, teams like the Milwaukee Bucks and the Miami Heat seem to have a much better shot than we all originally thought. And with the Milwaukee Bucks having so many injury problems this year and the Miami Heat only really having a superstar when Jimmy Butler decides he's gonna play like that, which is hit or miss, it's not even a guarantee that those are one of the teams that come out of the East. Even though that's certainly the three that I would pick. I would not be shocked if a team like the Celtics and Hawks, if they figured their shit out, or Philly or Chicago managed to sneak out of the Eastern Conference. Of course, I am still betting on those teams, but parity means that it doesn't feel like it's a guarantee that it's going to be one of those teams, and it doesn't feel like a guarantee to me. But back out west, I will say that the odds of it being a Western Conference team that wins this championship does feel pretty high. I'm really confident in betting on a lot of these teams by comparison to some Eastern teams. Between the Warriors, Suns, and a healthy Denver Nuggets team, honestly, I would take them before any of the Eastern Conference teams, at least the way the East looks at the present moment. Side note, I do want to say I'm a tad worried about the Milwaukee Bucks. I realize it's been a lot of injury stuff, but like, I don't know, there's something off there that's beyond the injuries, and I'm wondering when they're actually going to get healthy to develop that chemistry. Also, there's the fatigue of them just having made a championship run. Either way, I don't think they're going to be bad by any means, but I feel like there's just a little bit of a question mark on them right now. Probably going to be gone by the end of the year and I'm overreacting, but I'm giving them a bit of a side eye at the moment. Also, turns out Giannis's new jump shot probably isn't real. Like, we're seeing people post clips on Twitter all the time like, oh, eye emoji, look at this shit, but like, percentages are still not great. So I don't know. I still have them as the favorites in the East with no Kyrie on the Nets, but I'm just a little bit concerned. But back to those Western Conference teams. The Warriors look about as good as they feasibly can without Klay Thompson, but as we know, the Warriors, even at their peak without Kevin Durant, were still not unbeatable. especially with their injury track record. The Phoenix Suns are currently on an 11-game win streak, and while I believe them to be a team that is very often overlooked and over-criticized and treated like a fluke when I really don't believe them to be that, at the same time, no one's gonna claim that this team is unbeatable. By no means is this team unbeatable. The Nuggets, I am once again going to attempt to hype up because Nikola Jokic has taken a defensive leap to make him actually a good defender, and as a result, the Nuggets are currently a top 5 defense in the league on top of their offensive potential when everybody gets healthy, but there also is that health concern. Jamal Murray is coming back later this year, and MPJ could be coming back. As I was writing this script, a report came out that he has some sort of nerve issue that could potentially keep him out for the season, so we hope that does not end up being true. And if he does come back, you hope it's the version of MPJ that is historically efficient, not the version of him that is just a 6'10" anti-vaxxer, because the guy was pretty damn rough to open the season for the Nuggets before he went down. But if those guys do come back, that's a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. That's scary. Either way, now teams like a healthy Bucks and Nuggets, the Suns, the Nets, and the Warriors, potentially the Miami Heat, which whether or not they're in the same category as those teams as like a contender is something I'm going to make a video about later this week, potentially even tomorrow. But they're definitely at the bare minimum in this second tier I'm about to talk about. That second tier being teams like the Chicago Bulls, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Utah Jazz, maybe if you even believe in the Washington Wizards, if the Atlanta Hawks or the Celtics end up figuring their season out. And then whatever the fuck the Los Angeles Lakers end up being by the end of the year, because who's to say? All of those teams, I would not be shocked if they found their way to the conference finals and even the finals. There are of course teams on that list that would be more shocking than others, especially the Celtics and Hawks, because they're really in the trenches right now. And I don't know about you, but I don't really believe in the Wizards to maintain this level of play over time, and at the very least, I don't think it'll be this good in the playoffs. But regardless, that is 13 teams that I mentioned that could feasibly be in the NBA Finals without it being like outlandish. I don't think any of us expect the Wizards or the Celtics or the Hawks to be there, but I'm not gonna be like, holy shit, how did that happen, if they do. And that says a lot about where the NBA is right now and where parity is right now. Because the way things are when there is no parity is there are 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 teams that you think are going to win the championship, and then every other team is just burning out another season. But this time around, really feels like there are multiple teams, over a third of the league, that has a feasible shot at winning it all. And can't think of the last time that's been the case. It certainly hasn't been that many teams in my entire time as an NBA fan. And of course, as the season progresses, some of these teams are going to fall off. Some of the lower tier teams right now that I mentioned, like the Hawks or the Celtics, might end up rising up a little bit. But regardless, as of right now, it appears as though the NBA is as open as it has been in my entire time as a fan, and I am very, very much here for it. Now, as I mentioned, Kyrie Irving could come back and just absolutely ruin all of this. So please stay home, Kyrie. Like, I enjoy Kyrie Irving's play quite a bit, and I have missed seeing him make insane highlight plays without breaking a sweat. But regardless, I think the NBA is better for this parody than for Kyrie Irving playing basketball personally. But yeah, that is the NBA right now, looking very, very good. I might be overreacting or overrating some of these teams, but even if I am, like, the very least 10 of these teams are completely legit. And that is a lot to say. Also, I should say about the Chicago Bulls, even though I say they could feasibly make the finals, I guarantee you any of the team that comes out of the West is destroying them, unless it's some other complete outlier team from there. Also, the Utah Jazz. If you're a Jazz fan and you're offended by me not putting them in the contender category, like the contender, you shouldn't be. You know what this team is. We've seen them be just not quite good enough year after year, and I'm not going to apologize for treating them that way. I was very much on the pro-Jazz thing last year, and then they flamed out in the second round versus the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard, so I'm not going to put them in that same category. But yeah, that's the NBA right now. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, but that is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.